gosh, golly, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. Howdy, folks. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're great. Oh, God. Honestly, I've missed this. I've missed you guys. You know, it's not about the podcast, it's about the people you share it with. I don't care how cheesy that sounds, but it's true. I've missed you guys because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. So, um, oh god, it's so good to be back. It just feels like putting on an old jacket or putting on some old, well worn shoes. It just feels right. It just feels comfortable. Um, but I hope you're doing well. I hope you all had a great Easter. I had a fantastic Easter. Went bowling, went to the zoo, had a lot of chocolate, got fat. It was great. What more? What more can you say for Easter? Hopefully, you folks can say the same, or even just the fact of if you didn't eat chocolate, that at least you got to spend some time. I've hopefully not too much at work and got to spend time with the family and just had a fantastic break. I know the week away really helped me. I had planned on my week off to primarily I did it to have more time in writing. That I was going to sit down and I was going to um, carry on writing my book and do all the other things that I had planned. One thing I didn't realize is that I've put so much off and put so much on the back burner that all the other stuff that I had to do, which would be games to finish, um, TV shows to catch up on, movies to watch, and other sort of household things, I didn't have time to write, so I didn't write at all for my for my book, which a little bit annoying. But at the same stage, it's my own fault because I keep pushing things back, and that's kind of the whole shtick, really. The more you push things back, the more they pile up, really, and eventually they like an avalanche. When you get around to just doing one, you pull one out to do it. Next thing you know, you've started a landslide, and you're swamped of things to do, which is always good to have things to do. But when you plan to do the other thing, but you need these things done first, then you realize how much weight you've got on your shoulders. But I have decided, I did think about it. Before I get on to this week's topics and talking about this week's episode, I do want to do a bit of house cleaning. Um, the side quests, I know you folks like them. I enjoy doing them myself. Originally, the side quests were mainly just for things I didn't like. I said, things I didn't have time to fit into the main quest. Things that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have the time, or it just didn't work or fit into the main sort of quest topic that I was talking about. And they were always meant to be just every now and then, not every week, just every now and then. If some gaming news happens, or movie news, TV, or something interesting in sort of the nerdy space that interests me, and I think would be interesting to talk about, I would add it in. And that's what they started off as. I tried a few news articles and stuff like that, but the gaming news and whatnot started to dry up a lot. Tried to dry up a lot, which it does around about January, February. You'll get that small sort of sprint of gaming news and information, and then poof, it's gone. And it goes back dry until about now-ish, which it is starting to pick up in terms of gaming stuff and movie news and stuff like that. So in the meantime, what I did, I spoke about Book of Boba Fett, and I'm currently doing Moon Knight. But what I've decided is that to give me free time to do all the other things, so I don't get a massive pile of weight when I take another break off, as well as it gives me more time to focus on actually writing my book, and also allows to give me more time to put more effort and more research and planning into the main topics, that I've decided that I'm not going to do a side quest every week now. I think I'm going to go back to the way I originally planned it, which is sporadically. So whenever anything comes up, then you'll get a side quest. If nothing comes up, then you'll just get the main quest. So it'd be, what I'm planning to do is one episode a week, which will be a main topic, main quest, which I will get on to how I'm going to feed that fire shortly. Um, but that's how it's going to go. So side quests will come whenever. I can't give you a day. It would just be if there's something to talk about, you will get one, and obviously I'll let you folks know. And I just feel like that'll be more healthy for me, because then I can sort of focus on other things, and also better for you guys because it means that these episodes, these short side quests, won't be as long as they are. They'll be short, hopefully under the 30 to 20 minute mark. Um, Also, with that, I was also thinking that as I do now when I do reviews of TV shows, I was thinking I'm going to do what I did for Peacemaker, which is basically I'm going to let the season run out. So, say for example, there's 10 episodes in a season. So I watch all 10 episodes, and then I'll review the season as a whole instead of doing episode by episode. And then I would do like side quests for that and sort of other things. I just feel like it'd be easier and better. I'm still going to do Moon Knight episode by episode, but when Moon Knight ends, then um, I'm just going to go back to just being season by season. I think the next Disney Plus show that I've got to watch afterwards is Kenobi, which is they pushed it back to the 29th of May, so that gives enough time to sort of take a break, take a relax, and then I might do the first 2 episodes of Kenobi because they're getting released together. So I might do the first 2 episodes of Kenobi, but the rest, if you want to hear my views, you'd have to wait until it eventually ends, and I'll do an overall episode. That's just my plans. Obviously, plans are always subject to change. But yeah. Also, one more quick thing. I want to say thank you to everybody who messaged me over the week that I was off, wishing me a happy Easter and I hope that I'm well and all this and that. It was really nice. I also put a message out asking anybody on Twitter, really, and sort of Instagram and places like that I'm looking for topic ideas. I'm looking for stuff to talk about. Anything really. It doesn't have to be nerdy. It was just anything. And I got a lot of responses. In the end, I ended up writing down 32 response, 32 topics, which is absolutely fantastic. More than fantastic. It's incredible. And some of the ideas in here are just wow. There's not much more I can say than just wow, because there's so many on here. But that should keep us going for a long time, and that's how I'm going to feed that fire of the main topics. And obviously, I can put a lot of work into them. Some of them we need a lot of work, some of them not as much. But either so, I think there'll be interesting things to talk about. So he's got all that to look forward to. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody who supported me on my week off. All the new followers I got on Twitter is incredible. All the support and help from big and small podcasts. I've been listening to the Doom Generation recently. I'm in love with those girls. I swear to God, they're hilarious. They make me laugh. I listen to Casting Views. Currently, Casting Views has a food week. I'll be listening to them, and they recently had, I think, Sugar Coated Death. I think they're called. Had 2 Southern ladies on, and I swear to God, I fell in love with those 2 women as well. They made me laugh. They came so prepared. Like, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You've got to go into Casting Views and listen to it. It's hilarious. These women just came prepared to talk English stuff with English people. It's fantastic. I've never seen such preparation for an interview in my life. It's fantastic. I love it. Also, I want to give a shout out to Chat Tsunami as well. He's finishing off his Sonic month with a spoiler review of Sonic 2, the movie. I'll be honest, and if he's listening, I apologize. I haven't really fully listened to it yet, mainly because I haven't watched Sonic 2, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I don't want to spoil it, but I promise, if you're listening, Chatsu, that I will listen to it in full. Once I've watched the movie, I promise I will come back and listen to it. So please don't claw me to death with your red panda claws. So yeah, that's housekeeping. That's all that done. That's 9 minutes of housekeeping. To tell you what I've been doing and all the things, right? So today I've called this topic super nerdy. What do I call it? Super nerdy news wrap up. Because knowing my luck, I decide to have a week off, and a lot of stuff happens on the week that I decide to go away. We had I'm going to mess this up because hold on, got to dry the lips, got to wet the lips. The Thor 4 trailer, so that came out. That was incredible. I'm going to talk about that. You also had the Doctor Who Legends of the Sea Devils. Got to talk about that. Got Moon Knight episode 4, and then to cap it all off, Xbox and PlayStation they want to add ads into free-to-play games. So a lot happened while I was away. So I figured instead of just doing topic by topic, just each one of them give their own little topic or side quest, I figured I'd do a huge wrap up, a huge, as big as possible wrap up, sort of video. I was gonna say video, audio, where basically I'm going to talk about it all and just kind of give my thoughts and feelings. Because I feel like if I leave it too long, not that I really care about trends and what's popular and stuff like that, but if I leave it too long, as things are, you leave them too long and eventually they go a bit stale and people just don't care as much. So I figured if I do it now, it's not too late, but it's not sort of too stale where like it wouldn't mean anything. So I figured if I just do it now, it'd be great. So that's what you got to look forward to today. I'm going to do a breakdown of the 4 trailer. God, that's going to kill me. The Doctor Who Legends of the Sea Devils review, Moon episode 4, and then I'm just going to cap it off with talking about Xbox and PlayStation's terrible idea to put ads in free-to-play games. So, yeah, let's go on, shall we? Let's get into this. So, coming up first is the Thor review trailer breakdown. Okay, guys, let's do this. Okay, guys, so the Thor 4 trailer. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something very different. Something that I don't know if it will work in a audio format, but I figured if I give it a go, if it works, you guys will let me know. It'd be fantastic and great, and we can try this again in the future. If it doesn't, at least I can say I tried, and we'll think of something different next. But what I'm going to do is that I've got my tablet in front of me, not that you guys can see, but just imagine I've got the tablet in front of me, and I've got the Thor 4 trailer up, ready to play, and my idea was that I'm going to do a play-by-play. So obviously I've got to turn the sound down so you guys can't hear it, mainly because of copyright and all that jazz. I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, so I got to turn the sound down. So I'm going to give you a play-by-play on what's going on. I've also wrote down some notes, and so I'm going to, after I've done give the play-by-play, I'm going to talk about my notes, talk about things like that, and just make it a bit more fun. Again, if this works, great. If it doesn't, then at least I can say I tried. So I'm going to start the trailer now. I'm going to count down from 3, and when I get to 1, I'm going to press play. All right, you ready? So fingers crossed this works. Let's give it a go. I have been trying it on my own. I've been practicing, which sounds really sad. I've literally been sitting there staring at my tablet, talking to myself, giving a play-by-play of what's going on. It sounds sad, but it's all for you guys. As I said, it's not about the podcast. It's about who you share it with, and I trust you guys not to judge me. So we'll give this a go. All right. So 3, 2, 1, let's go. So you got young Thor running, teenage Thor, comic book accurate suit, which is fantastic. Now he's in flames, in fire. He's bearing what's it called now? Yeah, Stormbreaker. That's the one. My mind's going frazzled. I did practice this. All right, I paused it. Okay, we press play again. So now he's on a mountain. He's meditating, trying to be more peaceful, trying to find redemption. There's tears in his eyes. It's very emotional, very sad. Obviously, the music kicks in. Now he's exercising like a boss with a giant. I don't know what would you call that? I'd say like a giant dead giant. I had to pause it. There's a moment where he's got his hat on him and it goes Strongest Avenger. It just makes me giggle. He's got the Strongest Avenger hat. Now we've got a scene with Star-Lord, and you've got a Ravager Star-Lord, which is very 80s, very troubling little China sort of look. I think he's having moments now where he's starting to feel like I don't want to be the warrior anymore. He's gone off, stole the ship. He's there with Korg now. This July, big, powerful. We now look at the goats, and I would say, oh god, now we've got a picture of Olympus. I would say that's Olympus. Now we've got a pirate version of Thor. Not every god. Now we see more planets. Looks incredible. Thor standing there, and he looks like he's with Zeus. And hopefully we get we might see Hades and stuff like that. More Korg. A giant monster, which looks straight out of the comic books. Really, really incredible. We're now in New Asgard, and we've got Valkyrie. Looks incredibly bored, which again I don't blame her. She's a warrior, having to do lordy things. And we've now got Star-Lord looking at things he loves, and then looking at Chris Hemsworth's silly face. This is going to be a hilarious movie, I can tell. And yeah, that's about it, really. And then we cut to logo, which logo looks incredible. Thor, Love and Thunder, Marvel Studios. And then for the big reveal, for the big reveal. Here it comes. Broken Mjolnir now back together again, and you've got Lady Thor. Jane is now the mighty Thor. This July 2020. That didn't go half bad. I don't think. Maybe it did. Maybe I needed more practice than I thought. But don't despair. Don't despair. I did write notes. As you can hear, I got notes. Look. There, see? That, I don't know if that hurt your ears. I'm sorry about that. I got a bit too close there. So here's my notes. This is what I think. So, the introduction shows us a comic book accurate costume, which I really, really like to see. Like, this is one thing I love about this next sort of generation of MCU movies, is that they're starting to go a lot more comic book accurate. They did it for Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. They did it for Falcon and the Winter Soldier with Falcon's new sort of suit. And they've been doing it with Wanda, and it's lovely to see. You know what I mean? Like, even if they only do it for a shot, or even if they do it, this is the costume going forwards, as they've done with Scarlet Witch and Falcon, and I'm guessing Kate eventually when we see her on the big screen. That I just like to see, as somebody who grew up with the comic books and someone who saw Thor looking the way he does in his big big yellow boots, like Wellington boots sort of things, and he's blue with the silver rings on him. It just also, and with the helmet as well, with the wings. Like, that's one thing. Like, he doesn't really wear his helmet. He wore it a bit in the first Thor, and then for the rest of things you see Thor in, he doesn't wear it. And then again, in full Ragnarok, he put a helmet on, but it's not technically, his helmet. It's a helmet with wings on it, so it's not the same. But even so, it's a great look. So I'm happy to see that they're going for a lot more comic book accurate, which is great. Then we get an older, more mature Thor looking for peace and possible redemption. I put that as a question mark. I feel like at the end of Endgame, he needed to find if he was still worthy. Because in his mind he failed. Asgard's been destroyed. His brother's dead. He failed to, stop Thanos. He was meant to be the strongest Avenger, and even though Thor is kind of grown up a lot more, he still sees himself as the strongest Avenger. Like, he was meant to be the one that stops Thanos. He was meant to be the one that, saves everybody. And I just feel like in his mind, he's just no longer worthy. And we see that sort of character development through Infinity War and Endgame. And now that we see him again, I'm guessing, well, the way we see him on that hill, he's lost all his weight, and obviously then we see him exercise, which we'll get onto that bit in a minute. So he's lost all his weight, and I feel like he's just looking for peace now. That I feel like he's going on the monk's journey, if that makes sense. He's going from no longer being the beacon of war, beacon of destruction, the god of thunder. He's no longer that man. He is now a new man. He's going to look for peace. But the problem is when you bring in Gore the God Butcher, and you are a god, peace isn't really on the cards. So that's going to be really, really interesting. I'll get more onto Gore in a minute, because that's never mentioned in the trailer. But that's the new villain of this movie, Gore the God Butcher, played by none other than Christian Bale himself, the OP of actors. Granted, he goes a bit too far with the really getting into his roles, but he's a fantastic actor all the same. So there's an awesome shot of Thor working out, have the strongest Avenger hat, which again I love. Really fat hillbilly sort of Thor, really big beer gut, big beard. He's just there like working out I don't work out, which you guys can't tell, but I don't work out. I'm guessing they just call them the chains, working out chains. Hopefully, I would like to think that was maybe a enemy that Thor, because Thor's hundreds and hundreds of years old. It's a possibility that eventually, when younger Thor took some guy out, chained him or her up in a cave, and just left them there, and was like, oh, I remember. Yeah, I know somewhere there's loads of chains, and just goes down there and starts working out. Again, it could be. That's just. I think that'd be funny, where it's like a villain that Thor took down, chained up, forgot about because he was young and all he cared about was partying and frivolity. That's a big word, isn't it? But even if that, it's just a really, really fun, cool scene just to see him work out and sort of lose all the extra weight off and just kind of see him almost human. You know what I mean? Kind of go through the motions of like, yes, I am fat, but like, I'm going to get into shape because of I want to be a better man, or because I'm now a Ravenger, or is it because of Gore's coming that he has to lose all that weight? We will see. The Ravager 80s style Thor, which I loved. He's got the jacket on, a very sort of, Big Trouble in Little China sort of look. But like very Kurt Russell, which is kind of ironic because Kurt Russell's in the MCU as Ego. But I really loved that look. He's got the long hair and sort of the leather sort of quilter sort of jacket. Fantastic. You can really tell he's been raiding Star Lord's wardrobe, and I really hope they have a debate, small little argument about Thor stealing Star Lord's clothes. I just small little things, but I love it. Greek gods. You got Zeus shows up. Possible, hopefully, fingers crossed. We didn't see it in the trailer, not that I could see. But I hope, fingers crossed, that we get Ares and we get Hercules. For anybody who doesn't know, well, it's meant to be Hercules. Hercules is the Roman version, and Hercules, with an A instead of U, is the Greek version. They're both basically the same guy. But Ares and Hercules are in the MCU. Ares being the god of war, and Hercules basically being very, very strong. He teams up with Thor a lot. They both do. So I would hope that we get an Ares and Hercules cameo, and then they bring them in. There are many cool moments we see Hercules fight Hulk in the comic books. That'd be fantastic to see. Hercules is not a very sort of A or B sort of hero. He's more of a C hero because I haven't read many stories where he's been in the forefront. More so just been part of a team. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I would like to see him. It would be interesting to see, even if it's just a cameo. It'd just be really cool to see, and they never use them again. Again, it'd be cool to see. The giant god monster that's been slain. I think the trailer plays it out with the fact of it's just a giant monster, but actually that is a god. That is I'm going to butcher the name. I did write it down. It's Falligar. See, Falligar. The Behemoth, a patron god of the galactic frontier, champion of the Tournament of Immortals for 5 centuries straight, and who would wrestle black holes for fun. So he was very strong, very powerful. Him and Thor, Thor knew him, but didn't know him personally. There's a comic book thread which this scene is actually straight from this one comic book scene. Where it's Thor basically standing on the mountain on his own, not with Korg, just looking out at this god slain on the ground. And if you look at the shots, the shots are perfectly recreated in live action. But Thor basically says who this god is and how that they never met, but they did once or twice meet each other while traveling, and they waved at each other. So they knew of each other. Again, he was a friendly god, I would assume. I don't know much about the god other than he is a god that's been slain. It's a very powerful, very old, very strong god. I would assume has been killed by Gore the God Butcher. And I'll talk more about Gore near the end because there's a lot more to get in on. So that's that big god that's been taken down. Also, we get to see New Asgard. Valkyrie looks incredibly bored. I feel there's going to be a moment where Valkyrie I think she wants to be sort of the leader of the Asgardians, but also I tend to feel like it's one of them things of like she is a warrior at heart. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's very antsy, very sort of like I don't want to be sitting here talking politics. I want to be out there fighting. I want to be out there doing something. And I feel like there are going to be many moments in this where Thor's going to come down and be like, "I need your help." It's going to be like, "No problem, I'm there. I'm bored. I'm coming." So that's going to be very hopefully to see. I have more than likely we will see Valkyrie suit up, but it's just cool to see that she is bored, and it just kind of gives that sort of, it lays the groundwork of the fact of she's bored as hell and she's ready to fight. So that's great. Got banter between Star Lord and Thor. Can't wait to see more of that. And then finally, at the end, got Jane Foster is now Lady Thor. More than likely, they're not going to call her Lady Thor. They're going to call her the Mighty Thor. Which again, I don't blame them for doing. Really, that's what she is in the comic books. That's what her comic book line is. The Mighty Thor. But for anybody wondering as to why Jane, well, then I don't know. Should I say I know as to why Jane becomes Thor in the comic books? Um, it might not be the same in the MCU. They might change it because one thing that I love about the MCU is that they take the comic books as reference, but they don't sort of stick to them, if that makes sense. They're not hindered by what goes on in the comic books. They kind of take certain storylines and characters and kind of weave it in perfectly and seamlessly into their own sort of MCU narrative. So they might take this part, they might not. And again, if you don't want to know why Jane becomes Thor, then by all means, switch off and come back later when the movie comes out. But basically, in the comic books, Jane Foster, she gets ill. And I won't say how or what makes her ill, but I will say she gets ill and she's dying. And events happen. And basically, she gets Thor's hammer, and she becomes the Mighty Thor. And as long as she is Mighty Thor, as long as she is Lady Thor, she is strong, she is healthy, she keeps living. But if she gives up being the Mighty Thor, if she puts the hammer down and just goes, I don't want to be Thor anymore, doesn't take up the as it says on Mjolnir, whoever should hold this hammer should possess the power of Thor. If she puts the hammer down and goes, I no longer want this power, no longer want this gift, she then goes back to being ill, goes back to dying. So now she's kind of stuck being Thor, basically. Well, a version of Thor. But in honesty, it's not a bad rap. Like, I would do it. Like, even if I wasn't dying, even if I wasn't ill, I'd be like, yeah, I'll be Thor. I'll happily have the powers of the mighty Thor. Who wouldn't? You know what I mean? So it's not a bad thing. As for Gore the God Butcher, played by the wonderful Christian Bale, give you a bit of a backstory. Gore was once a god, and he basically he does some things to get him smited. He basically the gods turn against him, and in his mind he feels like it's their fault, not his, and that, as you would imagine, as the story usually goes with these sort of things, he basically decides that it's not my fault, it's your fault, and goes on a sort of spree of redemption. And instead of killing, kind of like God of War, but a bit more extreme. So instead of just killing the gods that he deems, were the reason for him, no longer being a god, he's also now decided that screw it, I'm just going to kill every god. And he does. He goes over the universe and just kills every god in his wake, while using the Necro Sword, which I don't know if they will use. I know he will use a sword, because you have to give Gore a sword, or some sort of long blade, because that's just what the character has. But will they call it the Necro Sword? I don't know. For anybody who doesn't know about the Necro Sword is a special sword that was and is used by Krull, who is, I feel like I'm saying his name right, who is the head symbiote, who is the guy that is the leader, is the king, is the ruler of symbiotes, Venom and Carnage and all that. And then maybe if they do call it the Necro Sword, then maybe that will hint at maybe bringing the symbiotes in. I don't know. This is really, really exciting. So, there's a lot of layers here. Like, as you would see in any MCU movie, there are a lot of layers. Will that happen? I don't know. I'm really, really excited. One of the things that gets me, though, is that they didn't say it in the movie, but when Thor Ragnarok came out, Kevin Feige did say that Hela's sword that she used is the Necro Sword. They said that it wasn't said specifically in the movie. They just said it. Now, that could be generally down just to press. That could be down to the fact of that's just what they called it, like a nickname. It wasn't actually the Necro Sword. We will find out when we see the trailer, if we see Gore, which more than likely this was a teaser trailer. So when we see the big proper trailer whenever that is released, then I'm sure that we will get a good view of this sword, and then we can definitively say that is the Necro sword. But I look forward to it. Like I said, if they do or they don't, it doesn't matter. I'm just excited to have Christian Bale in the MCU. Like, this guy said, after Batman, he said, I will never do any other superhero movie ever again. That's it. I'm done. And usually when Christian Bale says he's done, he's done. You know, he's an actor who constantly likes to develop himself and improve himself as many times as he can by doing new and different roles. And it just gets me. This script must be so alluring and so perfect, and the character of Gore, the MCU version of Gore, because I've already seen pictures of Gore. They've changed the character a lot, which again I will get onto in a minute. But just the concept of what the MCU are going to do with Gore, and enough to be like, come on, Christian, you want to have a bit of a taste, and for Christian Bale to read this and go, I'm in. Forget everything I said, I'm in. Like, this guy doesn't go backwards on his roles. This guy is a very forwards thinking, like, I'm going to do role after role after role. I'm not going to do period drama again because I've already done it, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. He's very forward. So for him to go back on not just on his word, but on what he has done throughout his career, gone back and do something that he's already done before. God, this script, this character must be incredible. So I'm really looking forward to just seeing what they do next, if and when. So yeah, I'm really excited for Thor Love and Thunder. God, that's no wonder they called it Thor Love and Thunder, because if you just sit there and say Thor, it's like Thor, it gets a bit difficult. But yeah, so what do you guys think about it? Have you watched it? What do you think of the trailer? What do you think of what you've seen? Are you interested in seeing what happens next? Are you interested in seeing more of Gore? Are you interested in more of Lady Thor? The mighty Thor? Are you interested in more of Star-Lord? What do you think is going to happen? As always, message me on Twitter, Nerdstalgic_pod, and let me know there. So, next topic is, I believe, Doctor Who. All right then, let's get to it, shall we? Okay, folks, and my next topic today is the Doctor Who Legends of the Sea Devils. This one, honestly, where to start with this one? I like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. I like the 13th Doctor. I know people have their issues with her. I don't really understand why, because it's not her personally. It's Chibnall. It's the Chris Chibnall, the guy who directs and writes pretty much majority of, if not all, of the episodes. He's writing. He's a fantastic writer. He just can't write Doctor Who. He can't write sci-fi. Simple as that. But even though the Flux had its ups and downs, and some parts were incredible, some parts weren't, I had hope and I had faith. And when I saw the trailer for this around Christmas time, well, actually New Year's, for the Legends of the Sea Devils, I was really excited. I was hyped up as anybody could be, if for Doctor Who. But sadly, what happened was terrible. Wasn't great, this episode. It really wasn't. I watched it live, and at the end of it, I just felt like I'd wasted my time. It wasn't worth this long wait. This wasn't worth this long build-up. I've written down notes, and I'll get into my notes and I'll sort of explain it. But overall, I just wasn't a fan of this one. There were things I liked, but there were things I didn't. And after watching it again yesterday and writing down notes, I found a lot more sort of issues and plot holes with it. If the Doctor Who fans listening, I do apologise if you really like this version of this era, this Chibnall era of Doctor Who. I don't like Chibnall. Jodie's fantastic, but Chibnall, I'm glad to see him gone. But at the same stage, when he's gone, Jodie's gone. So it's not a very nice one. To know that I would have liked Jodie to have one more season with Russell T Davies, because I think he would have done her fantastically and then did a lovely send off for her. But it is the way it is. So the episode. So my notes. See, I write down notes again. they do a great job at representing 19th century China, Chinese culture. The introduction is awesome. We get an introduction to Madame Qing and sort of what's going on there and why she's there again. The introduction is great, just setting the scene of where we are and why we are. The problem is, it quickly starts to fall apart. It's like that's just for the first 4 or 5 minutes, and then from there it starts to go off. The CGI is terrible. Granted, I know this whole production was filmed during COVID, but I don't feel like we can still use that argument anymore, especially when it comes to CGI and animation, stuff like that. Because one of the beautiful things about animation and CGI is that you can do that anywhere. As long as you've got a powerful enough computer and the software, you can basically do that anywhere, and it will take as much time as you need. And I feel like this needed a bit more in the oven. Now, I know they wanted to get it out for Easter because there's always been an Easter well, not always. Sometimes they miss a year, but majority of the time there is usually always an Easter episode of Doctor Who. And I, was very much excited, but then I watched the CGI, and I was like, oh god, this needed to be longer. Like, I would have minded if you left it another month or two, and just to work on that CGI. Certain things look good, like for example, the Sea Devil design looked incredible. It looks very much like the original Sea Devils from I think the 70s or 80s when we first get an introduction to them. But more like a modern sort of feel of them. But even so, I quite liked the way they looked. I thought they looked quite cool. Their design, very much cool. Practical effects, which was fantastic. CGI face, practical effect body. I liked it, but again, CGI, how their lips move was a bit. I didn't. Yeah, kind of lost me at times. But overall, looks cool. It was my first introduction to the Sea Devils. I thought they're quite interesting. I was really excited because I will admit I haven't seen the original episode of the Sea Devils. Like I said, I think it's Tom Baker, but then again, it could be Pete Davison. I'm not sure. I'm sure if there's Doctor Who fans, they will correct me. I haven't seen it yet. I do need to go back and watch a lot more of the classic Who because I've only watched a few here and there, which I know is a bad thing of me, being a hardcore Doctor Who fan. But I promise I will get BritBox and I will sit and binge them all, and I will tell you all about them, which I do plan on doing eventually. So look forward to that. But it's my first introduction to Sea Devils. I loved it. One of the downsides, one of the issues, was that we don't get enough of them. They come and go so quick. They're there, and then they're not there. It's a lot more of like, here's the Sea Devils. They're bad. Okay, why are they like? It just felt like the Doctor hates them, and you can tell the Doctor has a hate for them. But I just didn't believe why they were evil. Like they were doing something that was evil, but you didn't show me anything to make me believe that they're evil. Now, granted, if I had watched the original sort of episode, maybe I'd be like on board. Like, yeah, they are evil. Fuck them. Kill them all. But I haven't, and I would assume many people haven't seen them. Because again, they are still. You have to pay for BritBox to see them, or you've got to go out and buy the box sets. I would assume there will be a lot of Doctor Who fans, younger Doctor Who fans, who don't know who the Sea Devils are. This is their first introduction to them, and it just doesn't work. Is the fact of there's nothing apart from them doing an evil deed. There's nothing about them that would say to me that they are evil. That this version of the Sea Devils are anything other than just sort of they're pissed off, but they're not evil. If that makes sense. And that was the thing with the captain of the Sea Devils. I just didn't believe that he was evil. I just thought the fact of this guy had been trapped on land for decades, hundreds of years, and rightfully so, he's pissed off. And that's just what it felt like. The Doctor was mad at him. Everybody else was mad at him, but I couldn't be mad at him because I hadn't been given a narrative reason to be mad at them, to hate them. You know what I mean? And that was the thing. They came so quickly that they were gone that I never got to have that sort of moment of just like, oh, this is why they're evil. But also the fact of because there were so many shots between, like, you set up the Sea Devils, but then as soon as you get interested with the Sea Devils, you cut back and then now you're doing other things, which I will get onto the other things that they show. But you don't give us enough time to really sit and care about the Sea Devils. Now, I understand this is only meant to be like a 30-minute to an hour special. But even so, there's just better things you could you still got time to set this all up, but it just felt like it was just the Sea Devils are there, but they're not really there. They're only important until they are important. Otherwise, they're not important. You know what I mean? There was a lot of technobabble in this. There was a lot of sort of technobabble. Don't get me wrong, I love when the Doctor goes off and does a lot of technobabble, but there is so much of it that it just feels like the Doctor is like generally just being smart, but for no reason. Just generally just saying technobabble. There's no narrative reason for the Doctor just to be sitting there talking so technical about everything. You know what I mean? Which again, I love seeing that, but there's no reason behind it. Like you could have spent this time showing more of the Sea Devils, making me care for them, making me hate them, showing things like that than just having the Doctor go constantly spewing the same sort of. And it wasn't like different techno babble. It was the same constant scientific babble, but said differently, or said with more different scientific words or phrases that just kind of either makes no sense or makes the same sense as what you've just said, but said differently. You know what I mean? But again, it is what it is. What else? Oh, boy loses his father at the beginning, wants revenge. A few moments later, is happy as Larry and smiling. Like, this is another thing. Again, so you had this one character at the beginning who was killed by a Sea Devil. He thinks it was Madame Cheng. So, as you would imagine, I want revenge. I want redemption. He stows away with Dan on this lady's ship. They get caught, and then he realizes that Madame Cheng didn't kill his father. It was a Sea Devil, and he had a sword in his hand. He's ready to murder this woman. He's ready to get revenge and kill Madame Cheng. Even if he dies, he's ready to get redemption, right? Then when he finds out it's the Sea Devils, you would think, oh, well, the Sea Devils are my enemy. The Sea Devils, pardon me, are the people that I need revenge on. So you'd think he'd pick up a sword and go, come in there, doing really cool fighting with like sword fighting. No, he cowers and screams for most of it. And then when he's not cowering and screaming and not, fighting, trying to get revenge or anything like that, he's smiling, happy as Larry, going, this is fantastic, this is great. And I'm like, your father just died. You were just dramatically in tears and wanting revenge and just on the brink of losing it. And now all of a sudden, now you find out it's not the person you thought it was. Now you've basically decided, oh, it doesn't matter now, and happy as Larry, and it's never mentioned again. Like there's apologies for the death of the father, but there's never any big payoff. It's more just the fact that father dies, guy gets revenge. A few minutes later, it wasn't you. Okay, the end. That's it. It's like, what was the point of the character? What was the what are you trying? Like you set up an emotional narrative. Okay, I'm ready for him to get revenge. Okay, he finds that it's not the person who he thought. Okay, that's normal. That happens sometimes in revenge stories. So you think, okay, his all his fear, all his revenge and hate and anger will now be channeled into the Sea Devils. He will now become a badass fighter and take on the Sea Devils. No, he sits there and cowers. Granted, the Sea Devils are quite intimidating, but at that moment, I would imagine he's so full of rage and full of sadness that his father's died, that he would be like, that's it, screw it. Kind of that fight or flight moment to just like, well, I could die anyway, but it doesn't matter. My father's dead, so screw it. I've got nothing more to live for. Charge. No, nothing like that. There's even a moment where Cheng gets Anton and was like, gives him a sword and be like, I've just saved your life. Now fight. But again, you don't get to see him really fight. You might see him in the background fight, but you don't really get to see him actually get his revenge or fight. It's more just the fact of, here's a knife, go fight. Now I'm going to jump back to a different scene. It's very much like, what was the point of this child? And then when you find out the point of this child, the point of this person was the fact of his character was all along was holding the keystone, was holding this glowing orange stone that the Sea Devils are after. And I was sitting there going, is that it? Did you really just set up a whole revenge plot as a subterfuge, as like a way to just add him in, just so you could get this keystone that we all thought Cheng had the keystone, but it wasn't Cheng, it was Ching, I mean, it was this lad instead. You know what I mean? Like, is that it? Once I realised that, I was like, what the hell? Seriously, is that it? Is that what you set up? Is that I just got annoyed. I was like, you know what, whatever, you've lost me. But that being said, moving on. Madden Ching and Jin Hun, I think it's Jin Hun or Ji Hun, how they pronounce it. Both standouts. The actors are incredible. The characters are incredible. There's a lot of emotion and depth. These two characters show the most emotion and depth. Especially Ji Hun has a lot of funny moments, comedy sort of moments that make me giggle, and just kind of brought back the old feelings of Doctor Who and great character development. Even if characters you only meet once on an episode, it's still nice to kind of have that sort of more little moments of smiling and kind of feel like it's not all bad. It was really nice. So those bits were great. Again, moving on to what, as I said earlier, there's other scenes that kind of get taken away from the Sea Devils or setting up things that need to be set up. So we got the forced romance between the Doctor and Yaz. Again, I still don't believe it. I'm still a very much version of in my mind, just because when the Doctor regenerated from Peter Capaldi and the ring fell off her finger because Jodie Whittaker's got smaller fingers than Peter. That doesn't mean just because she hasn't got the ring doesn't mean she's not married to River. She's still married to River Song, and I'm still a very much hardcore sort of person where I'm like, no, she is still River Song's husband or wife. And I just don't like the idea that they're trying to shoehorn a relationship in. I still don't believe it. Love with Yaz. I still remember River Song. And I like how they deal with it. It's very much the Doctor basically says to Yaz that, I would have liked a relationship. I would like one, I would like that moment to sit down and to basically live my life and, relax with somebody. And Jodie mentions River, says my wife, and brings up the fact of, I would have liked to have done it with her. But I just can't. I just can't have a relationship with anybody because I don't have enough time. Or there's always something where either I'm in danger or you're in danger. The person that I'm with or that I love or want to be with is in danger. And I've lost so many people that I just can't do it again, basically. So it's basically the Doctor saying, if I could have a relationship with somebody or go on a date, it would be with you. I would love to, but I can't. Basically letting her down easily, saying my life is too complicated. I'm not ready for a relationship, but if I was, it would be with you. And I like that. I like they went that route. I know a lot of fans are not happy about that, and maybe that might change with the final episode. But I just liked the way it was dealt with. I just liked how the Doctor told her straight. It was just like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I've gone through too much. I've lost too many people. I would have liked to spend more time with my wife. I would have liked to spend time with other people that I love. But I can't do it with you. But if I was to do it with anybody, it would be with you. So I think that's quite nice. You do kind of feel somewhat sad for Yaz, but at the same stage, I never really believed the love and romance much bit anyway. So I like the way they've dealt with it, like the way they've handled it. Also, it's never explained how Madam Ching was going to get the treasure. Basically, the whole reason Madam Ching's there is the fact of her crew, her sons, have been stolen by a warlord, by a bandit, and basically she needs to go off and find this treasure and bring it back to this warlord, and then he'll give her sons and her crew back, which is all great and fine. And this thing didn't hit me when I first watched it. It wasn't until the second viewing that I realised this. But how was she going to get it? Because as far as she knew, this treasure was deep, deep, deep underground. And this is around 19th century. So they had diving bells around, I believe around about the 19th century, they had diving bells, which are exactly what they sound. They are bells with little sort of chairs in them, little sort of seats that get lowered down by a crane into the water. And it works like a pocket of air, so then divers can go deep underwater, get what they've got to do, and come up. The thing is, I didn't see a single diving bell on the ship at all, not a single one. I didn't see anything that would resemble a crane. Also the fact of with a diving bell, you need more than one person to work it. You know, you need obviously one person to go into the bell to go down, and you need at least two to three people working on the crane, working on lowering it, bringing it, and also once you've lowered it, you've also got to get somebody to bring it back up. Um, and it's just one of those things of like, I see where they were going for, but again, it's shoddy writing where it was like they never really properly explained it. Like, great, the Sea Devils turned up and they happened to have the treasure and you could steal it from them. But up until that point, you didn't know the Sea Devils existed. You didn't know who or what they were. You know, so how was you planning on? Okay, I've got the keystone. I found the treasure. How are you going to get it? I don't see you, you know, holding your breath for that long, you know, diving deep down into the ocean floor, to this wreckage of a ship to get this treasure and bring it back up. Again, it was the small little niggles that was just like it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Um. Oh, also there's a kraken. We see a kraken, but that, like, again, cool design, amazing design, but it, like the Sea Devils, it's there and it's gone. And when the Sea Devils are gone, somehow the Kraken's gone, but you never see the Kraken anywhere where it should be. You know, it makes no sense of where the Kraken's gone or why. It's just the Kraken is there and he's not. So again, cool design, but not really properly used or at all. There's a cool Sea Devil fight, but you know, terrible jump cuts. The editing was really bad, especially at the end of the fight, where there's a moment where you can see blatantly where this cut was done really badly, where the Doctor and the captain of the Sea Devils are fighting, and the Doctor jumps down. So they're on like a balcony, jumps down off this balcony, and you know, lands and does a little sort of PA sort of fight thing with a sword, and then all of a sudden there's like a flash, and like you can tell where the cut's been sort of, there was a whole scene here, but it's been cut away, and there's a huge like flash and a cut, and then somehow the captain has got from being up on the top of this balcony to now down on the ground, but on his back, no sword in his hand, and then Ji-hun comes out and stabs him in the chest, and the Doctor's like, you didn't have to kill him, and he's like, oh, he took my life from me, I needed revenge. And again, but that other kid needed revenge. He could have done it. I understand you, but you could have done it together, or you could have let the kid do it. I don't know. Again, but it's one of the things that's like, hold on, how did the captain get from up there to be on his back? I don't. There was who hit him? Who made him fall down? Did he fall off? Did he jump off the balcony and fall? You know what I mean? Did he not land on his feet and you stabbed him? Like, what happened? You know, and I feel there's a whole, even if it's only a few seconds, there's still a whole scene missing that would have explained it. Even if it was like, oh, I had to take it out because, you know, the episode was getting too long. Again, it comes back to the fact of you bring in these classic villains, you bring in the Sea Devils, but it feels like you brought them in just as a background noise. You know what I mean? Just for a reason, kind of to please old fans, but also just as a reason to kind of shoehorn in this whole romance thing, to give a reason for the Doctor to have a romance, to have a story, really. You know, we need a villain. Well, if you want to do that, you could have brought the Daleks back, or you could have done Cybermen, or, you know, Savine or something. You know, use your imagination. But no, you brought back an old classic villain that, you know, fans like and enjoy, and you hardly used them. You know, you hardly really got to see them. They were just there, which is again a shame. But there you go. That's the that's the show. They defeat the Sea Devils. They sit on a beach, have a small moment where the Doctor basically reiterates that I can't have a relationship. Sorry, and basically says I wish sort of this moment, you know, could last forever. And then it ends. And then we get to see coming soon, and we get to see like the Master is back, and we get to see Ace from the Eighth Doctor, and we get to see Tegan back, which is fantastic. And yeah, overall, this episode, meh. Not much I can say about it. It was meh. It was better than the New Year's Eve buddy Groundhog Day episode. That one was terrible. Not very good at all. This one was better, but it still wasn't good. You know what I mean? It's very much meh. You know, you can skip it. Generally, I would say if you was rewatching the 13th Doctor this season, once you got to Flux, skip these two specials and go straight to whatever they're doing at the end. I would say anyway. and because what they do at the end looks good. It could all be a pile of crap. It could be, wholeheartedly, it could be, but I hope it isn't. But it could be, because again with Chibnall, you just don't know what he will do or where he will go with this. Generally, the guy is a loose cannon, and he can't write Doctor Who. Simple as that. But what did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Again, let me know on Twitter, Nerdstalgic_pod. Let me know what you think. So, on to the next topic, shall we? Okay, guys. Our next topic is Moon Knight episode 4 review. I haven't seen this episode since it came out, so I remember stuff, but I don't remember everything. So instead of giving you a play-by-play like I usually do, I'll just give you my thoughts and feelings. I loved it. Generally, I've loved every episode of Moon Knight so far. Oscar Isaac is just getting better and better and better. Ethan Hawke, again, we don't get much of him here, but Ethan Hawke's Harrow, again, is incredible. But one of the things that I love about the MCU TV shows that they're doing recently is that it always seems by episode 4, that's when things start to go off the rails, like go crazy, you know what I mean? Like big reveals and big sort of crazy things start happening within episode 4. Because, like, for example, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, in episode 4, that's when you get John basically beats the crap out of that person with the shield, and it's all bloody. That sort of thing. It's a big shocking reveals, and the same happens here. It's a big shocking reveal at the end, which again I won't spoil, even though it the new episode 5 is out already, which I haven't watched episode 5 yet. I'm going to watch it after I finish recording. And the reason I didn't watch it is because I didn't want it to taint my thoughts of episode 4. Not that anything would be bad, it's just more just the fact of I thought, well, maybe I could watch episode 5 and say, oh, episode 4 was great, and I now know how it fits into episode 5. Pardon me, a lot of wind. How it fits into episode 5, and did it transition well. But then I thought, I won't watch it. I'll leave it, and I'll leave it till afterwards. So that's the plan. But as for episode 4, I thought it's fantastic. Generally, it was really good. There were some moments that kind of get on my nerves. Layla, Mark's wife, she's getting on my nerves. There are generally moments in this where Layla will be like, we'll stop what's going on and be like, no, we've got to go. They're coming, or not zombies, mummies are after us, and she's like, but I want to find out what happened. Tell me this. Tell me now. And I'm like, it's not the time. Like, even Mark is like, I will tell you, I promise, but not when people are trying to kill us. Let's go. And she's like, and she very much like a tree, plants herself into the ground. I was like, I ain't moving. I ain't going nowhere. She tell me, and then you've got to tell him, and then the big thing that happens in this episode happens, which again, if you've watched it, you will know at the very end. But it's very much like she's getting on my nerves at this point, where I'm like, granted, you have a lot of issues with Mark, and you have a lot of issues with what happened with your past and with your dad and so on and so forth. But time and place, you know what I mean? Like, you want to have this conversation, you want to have this whole sort of dialogue. That's fine, but let's do this at a more convenient time, at a safer period. When people are not shooting at us, when there's not mummies trying to decapitate us. Let's get out of the tomb first, shall we? So that sort of got my nose, but again, it's not so bad. It's annoying, but I deal with it. Again, it might change by episode 5. We will see after I record this. But overall, it's a great, solid episode. One of the best, I would say. Not the best, but one of the best. I wish I could talk spoilers, because there are some funny moments, especially at the end, that sort of just come up and are revealed. Like some thoughts and theories. Like, if you've been following me on my side quests, you know that I do have some thoughts and feelings about other personalities and stuff like that. You get some sort of hints at that as well, and there's a lot a lot happens at the end. Like during the middle, you get strong Mummy vibes. If you're a fan of the Brendan Fraser movies, the Mummy movies, I am a huge fan of those. One day I will sit down and talk about them. Um, but if you like the Mummy movies, you'll get like a really good sense of a feeling of the Mummy. In this episode, there's a really really funny moment where um, Steve flirts with. Even though Steve and Mark are basically the same person, personality wise, they're not the same. Um, and there's a moment where Steve flirts with Layla, and Mark is like, "Don't flirt with my wife," you know, "Don't flirt with her." And there is a small sort of scene where, like, Steve does something, and she kisses him, and she jumps down, and he's smiling happily. And you get this moment where, like, he loses control for like a split second, where Mark takes control and punches him punches him in the nose, launching him backwards, sending him sort of backflip down this ravine. And she's hilarious. Just a small little funny little scene. But overall, I loved it. I really, really did. I am looking forward to watching episode 5 later today after I finish recording. But if, again, as I've said for the others, if you've watched it, did you like it? Did you not like it? Because, again, let me know on Twitter. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings of it. So that's Moon Knight. So on to the next, and yeah, as it would look, the final topic. And the final main topic for today is Xbox and PlayStation want to add ads to free-to-play games. Now, I'll be straight with you, all you folks listening. This is a terrible idea. This is a really bad idea. In the article that I read, they cited Burnout Paradise. Now, again, I don't know if any of you folks have played Burnout Paradise, but when that game came out, there were sponsored ads in that game. They weren't in your face. They were very much on billboards and signs. If I remember correctly, during the time of when that game came out, was around 2008, 2009, was when Barack Obama was running for president. Obviously, as we know, hindsight, he became the president. But as he was running for it, he put ads for his campaign into the game. Now, I don't know if that was widely, or if that was just in the American version of the game. I've played the game and I don't remember seeing those ads. But then again, in all fairness, if you're going to play Burnout Paradise or play any Burnout game, you're not looking at the scenery. You're looking at, how can I smash the crap out of this car? So again, I didn't notice it. But that was what they used as an example of, oh, well, it's been used before in games. And I'm sure it's been used in other games before. It's used widely, hugely, in free-to-play mobile games. But I've always said, and I've said it the same, I've said it for loot boxes and microtransactions and all that. I've said it from day one. Those things should stay in mobile. Those things should stay there. Don't put your microtransactions, advertisement shit in my video games, in my computer games. Keep them on a phone, because by all means, that makes sense. Keep it on a phone, but don't put that crap onto me. I don't want it. I'm not interested. And basically, like, just keep them away from me. I don't want any of you to do with them. But with Xbox and PlayStation, it started off with Xbox, and it kind of made me, bum me out a bit for Xbox, because I never thought Xbox would do anything like this, if I'm being completely honest with you. But then when PlayStation jumped on board, I kind of got worried, because one copies the other usually. And I hope there's enough backlash that this doesn't happen. But the basic premise and idea, again, as I said, is kind of, you get it in mobile games. It won't be in your face. It'll be like paid ads. So, for example, I play World of Warships. It's one of my favorite games to play. I play it the most out of anything, really, that I play. That's a free-to-play game. You can play on the PC. You can play on the Xbox. I love that game to bits. I really, really do. Last thing I want is, while I'm got my warship, I've got my cruiser, and I'm on the seas, destroying other ships. The last thing I want is a paid ad for Duracell batteries. You know what I mean? Or I don't want Star Wars in my face. I don't want this, like, or the brand new Marvel movie. I love Marvel and all that, but the reason we play video games, the reason anybody plays anything to escape from, whether it be a book, a movie, a TV show, the reason we watch and we play these things and read them is so we can escape from reality. And video games are one of the ultimate escapes, because you don't just escape yourself, you also sort of lose your mind in the games when you get focused, because you are the character, you're controlling the character. And the last thing you want, like in a fantasy world or a sci-fi world, is just like you killed a dragon, that's great, and then on a signpost over there is, do you want some Duracell batteries? I'm like, no, piss off. You know what I mean? I'm not interested. I don't want it. And that's what scares me. It's just the fact of how far is too far. Because when loot boxes first came up, loot boxes came up for mobile, nobody cared. And then games like Overwatch started to do them. But when Overwatch did them, they did them right. And I would say Overwatch is the only place that's ever done loot boxes correctly. They did them in such a way that you didn't have to pay for them at first. I don't know if you pay for them now, but I remember at first you didn't have to pay for them. It was by literally, there was no pay to win. It was, you play the game, you get rewarded. Simple as that. Cut and dry. You know what I mean? You play the game, you might get a new skin, or you get a sticker or paint or whatever. And that's fine. That for me works fine. Like, I would happily play a game with loot boxes if it was just, you play the game, you get a cosmetic, maybe, in a loot box. You might do, you might not do, but don't worry about, you don't have to pay money or anything like that. Just play the game, and the more you play it, the more chance, it is you'll get what you want eventually. I don't mind that, because it's a bit of progression. I love progression in games. Again, that's fine. Like, I'm collecting all these skins for this one character. Say, I'll keep playing, and hopefully I'll unlock them all with a few hours of playtime, maybe. But I don't want to have to be there like, well, you could get that skin you really want now, but if you pay us $5 or pay us £5, you can get it now. I'm like, no, because then what's the point? Kind of one of the things I loved about, for example, Halo 3 was that when you saw a Spartan that had like recon armor, or had Hayabusa armor, or had a samurai sword on their back, it meant they did something. It meant that they had done something in the campaign, or that they had reached a certain level in multiplayer, that they were a badass. They were good at Halo because they put the time and work in, and they got rewarded by armor sets. You know what I mean? So if you saw somebody in recon armor, you know that they were a badass and they were good at Halo. And 9 times out of 10, they would destroy you on multiplayer. But those are the kind of people where you just knew that they had earned it. With loot box and microtransactions, you can't tell if somebody's earned that armor skin or earned that weapon or whatever. You can't tell if they've earned it, or if they're one of these people that has decided, oh, I'm going to go splooge £10 to £20 on weapon skins and stuff like that. You don't know. And like, I don't play FIFA, I hate football, but it's same with FIFA. You get these people who spend upwards of thousands and thousands, millions of pounds on packs for characters, so they can get gold packs, so they can get the best players with the best stats, right? And then so you go on again, this is what I've been told by friends who don't pay for them and just play the game normally, who will go online and get destroyed because that person has gold players and they don't, so they get destroyed because they've got the best, their other people got the best stats because they've gone out and they've spent loads of money. And again, it doesn't, it's not fair. Then that means that I then have to go out and spend real money on things that don't exist just so I can have an edge online. You know what I mean? And I don't buy loot boxes. I've never bought any microtransactions in my life. The only things that I actually buy is DLC, but even then, it's only story DLC. I won't buy map packs. Like, I remember back in the day where you had to pay for maps. I remember, like, it sounds crazy, but I remember when, like, if you wanted to play Halo 3 with your friends, and, like, for example, the Mythic maps came out, you had to pay money to get these maps. You didn't get the maps for free like you do nowadays. You had to pay for them. And the reason you get them for free nowadays is because of loot boxes and microtransactions. It's like, oh yeah, we'll give you the maps for free, but you want that new weapon skin or that new armor skin, or you want, XP boosts and all that kind of jazz. You've got to pay for it. And even like World of Warships, the game I play and like I mentioned, I quite love. even that, you have to pay for, you have to pay to get premium, so you get extra coins that you can spend on XP. But you don't have to do it. You just play the game, you will unlock it. But if you pay it, you get it. But there, it's done quite sort of. It's not in your face. I know I've gone off a bit on loot boxes and all that, but what I'm trying to say is the fact of when is too far. Because as we've seen with loot boxes, they've gone to a point now where they're just everywhere and they're too far. So with these ads in games, where's the line? How far will you go until eventually are you going to do it? So it's like, oh, it's just subtly, like it's in this one part of the map, this one little area, or it's on a billboard in select towns in the world map. But if you're not looking for it, and you might not see it, don't worry about it. Will it start there, and then will it evolve to be in the fact of it's in your face? So every time you get an achievement and you unlock, you'll be like, you got an achievement. As an achievement, Slim Jims. You like Slim Jims? You like food? No. Get out my face. It's very much one of those. So like, that's what worries me. Where would the line be drawn? Where would be the point where we go, this is enough? And if we push it too far, it's in your face. Like, I don't want to play a game that's full of ads. You know what I mean? I don't want to be playing Gears of War, Killing Locust, and in the corner there's a sign for T-Mobile. Because there was like, and I'm not saying it hasn't been in video games before. Like, again, like for T-Mobile, it was in GTA 4. There were signs for T-Mobile when you went into the city and when you went into CAFs. There were signs for T-Mobile. But again, it wasn't in your face. They were just there. And if you didn't notice them, you didn't notice them. That's fine. If you want to, because again, I understand video games and video game production is quite expensive, and you do need to fund that, and you need a way to fund it. And as they are in movies and TV show, you'll find that the way that they fund movies and TV shows is by sponsored ads. And what you'll see in sponsored ads, for example, if the character is holding a Coke can and they've got the Coke logo in front of you, then you know that Coke paid a lot of money to get that one scene in it of the character drinking Coke. Whereas, for example, if you have like Doritos, you can tell in the background they are Doritos, but they're a little bit blurry. You know that Doritos paid to have their product in the movie, but didn't pay enough for that product to be seen clearly. So what you'll find is the more clear a product placement is, the more that company paid for that product to be. For the more they paid, the closer it is. And if they pay exuberant, stupid amount of money, the character might use it, X, Y, pick up a Coke can, stuff like that, they drink out of it, that sort of thing. And so, again, that's how it's done in movies and TV shows. Well, that's how it be in video games. You know what I mean? Being like, oh, we might have Doritos in the background, and eventually we might have Norman Reedus drinking out of a Monster can in your face. Maybe. Like, they did it in Death Stranding. So, again, my question comes back to, where is the line? Where do we draw a line in the sand and go, okay, we don't cross this line. You cross this line, you've gone too far. Me, personally, I don't want it at all. I would not happily have no ads in my game at all, unless it was going to be subtle. And when I say subtle, I mean incredibly subtle. Like they did in GTA 4, where like it's there, but it's not everywhere. It's in a small bit, in one or two buildings, spread out, but unless you're really looking for it, you're not going to find it. That's fine, because then it's a fact of like then it becomes not ads, it becomes yeah, Doritos are cool. I like Doritos. Oh, I like T-Mobile. Oh, I like Coke. Yeah, that's all right. But then it's like, oh, I can carry on with the game and don't worry about it. If I see it, I smile. Oh, I know Coke. Coke's real. That's cool. Funny. You know what I mean? And I can go on with my day. Whereas if it's in your face, it's very much like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I'm fed up of Coke. You show me Coke so much, I don't want to drink it anymore. Fuck it. I'm not interested. I'm just using that as an example. But the point is I'm trying to get at is the fact of, where is the line? And that's what worries me. And I hope that Xbox can find, and PlayStation can find a line. And hopefully, whatever line they draw is, we all agree on and is okay. And that they never sort of cross that line. And if they never cross that line, then fantastic. If they do, then, well, they're going to get a lot of backlash off fans. And I'm going to be one of them that gives them backlash. So, let's hope they're smart enough to realise this is something that they shouldn't do. But again, we will see. We will see indeed. So that is all the topics today. Time to wrap it up, shall we? Okay, guys. So that is all my topic today. That's all the topics I've got to talk about. Hope you liked them. Some of them were longer than others, but I just wanted to do a big, quick sort of wrap up instead of doing the individual, drag it out for as long as possible. I want to do one big sort of welcome back sort of wrap up. Um, but as I mentioned at the beginning, like there are so much to come. I've got a list here of like 32. Well, actually now 31 because I'm going to cross out the super nerdy news wrap up one after I finish this. But there's so many here, like literally, like to give you some ideas. Um, a beginner's guide to Tolkien books. Talking about Lord of the Rings and Tolkien books. Studio Ghibli movies in order. Um, favorite Michael Bay movie. Quentin Tarantino, Pushing Daisy, Starship Troopers, Iron Man, 80s month. Rewatch of the Lord of the Rings, Bioshock, Buffy, Harry Potter alternatives. Literally, that's just a small smidgen of it, and that's that. Like, this is just one page. I have, as I was writing this, and after I've written this big list of ideas, um, I've been getting tons more, and by listening to other podcasts like the Doom Generation, for example, those again, check those ladies out, please. Um, listen to them review movies. There were some films that they've talked about where I've thought about, man, oh god, I want to rewatch that film, and I'm going to talk about that film, or even just the fact of they inspired me for other movies that I was thinking about while they were talking. That would be interesting to talk about. And it's the same with Casting Views and Chat Tsunami and other like Joe Rogan, um, Freddie Prinze Jr. with his wrestling, um, Bill Burp, two birds, one K. I'm just reading our podcast here, but listening to loads of different sort of podcasts and getting ideas, getting concepts. And as I said at the beginning, it's not about the podcast; it's all about the people that you share it with. So me taking this week off was mainly just to kind of um, relax, but also plan and think towards the future. And there are a lot of exciting things to come. Like I said, I've not just this huge list that I've got in front of me of all the topics that I want to talk about. Um, but there's loads more ideas I have. Also, the fact that there are exciting things to come. I was hoping to have a brand new look and brand new feel coming back, but my designer, the lady that I'm working with, to help me design um, my new look for the podcast. Sadly, while I was off during the week, she became ill, not very well. So I told her not to rush. Don't worry about the design. By all means, focus on getting better, and then we'll sort of come back together when you feel better. So sadly, that wasn't ready for her to come back. But even so, there are exciting things to come. New look, new feel, and then hopefully more sort of in the future to come. But I am very happy to be back. I really am. I've missed this. Like I listening to having my week off and listening to other people do their podcasts and do their episodes. That I generally I'm addicted. Let's just say it. I'm addicted. I was literally foaming at the mouth, being like, oh, I really want to record. I really want to sort of talk about something. But I was like, no, I'm going to stick to the plan. And I'm going to take the week off. I need the week. I'm not going to sort of fold. But there were many moments where I was generally jealous of people. I was like, I just want to do one episode. No, I'm like, no, you can't. I'm having to tell myself off. But generally, I love what I do here. I really do. I love all you folks who listen. I do. You guys, girls, from all different places of the world, America. There's a lot of people in the UK, but looking at my stats on Anchor, I've got people in Europe and in Germany listening as well. Um, and no matter who you are, where you are, I just generally thank you. And to everybody who sent me a message when I was away, wishing me happy Easter and how I'm doing, giving support and feedback, it's all just lovely. I am hoping to, again, as as you could probably imagine, to expand, to grow the podcast as much as possible. Currently the podcast is only on Spotify and Anchor. Hopefully, I'm hoping to one day get the podcast on Good Pods. Currently, sadly, they don't support uh, podcasts that are run solely on Anchor. Um, so I need to find a way to get my podcast elsewhere on apps and platforms they do use, so that I can then put it on good pods. But that's something that I'm going to be working on and looking into. But yeah, there's a lot of things to come, and I've got a lot of plans and got a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to try, like I did today with the whole sort of watching the trailer and narrating it as I go along. Again, you guys can tell me what works and what doesn't work, or what you want to see and what don't want to see, because like at the end of the day, I can sit here and talk about whatever I want and what I love, and I will do. And there are a lot of things that I want to talk about still, and that I am quite passionate for, and I want and I love to talk about. But I want to hear about off you folks. I want to hear what you want to hear. Tell me on Facebook. I mean, not Facebook. I mean Twitter. What you want to hear. What you want to hear me talk about. Give me feedback, good or bad. Doesn't really matter. Um, I'm all here for it. Like, I generally love this. I love you guys. I love doing this. I'm so glad I began it, and I'm just, yeah, I'm so excited to be back. I've got a lot of stuff planned. Coming next week's going to be a fun one. Um, Next week's going to be book related. I haven't done a book related topic in a while, so I look forward to getting into my books and talking about this one book trilogy that I recently finished. So that should be really, really exciting. And yeah, but generally, just thank you. Just a huge, huge thank you to everybody. Again, I'll reiterate, and as always, three's the magic number. If you repeat things 3 times, it's good luck and it sticks with people. But it's not about the podcast, it's about the people you share it with. And I am honored to share it with you folks, and that you folks enjoy, and you folks have stuck by me from the beginning. So honestly, thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting me on my week off. And thank you for the continued support, and I hope that you folks keep supporting me and we grow together. So yeah, so I'm going to end it now, because I'm babbling and I'm repeating myself. So as always, oh, actually no, before I do that, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Nerdstalgic_pod. You can find the Nerdstalgic podcast on Anchor or Spotify. Just type in Nerdstalgic and you should see my wonderful fiery face. Eventually it will be a different face, but as of now, my face on fire. Just look for that and you'll find me there. And that's everything. So that's all the housekeeping. Yep, that is. Now I can end properly. So as always, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace, and thank you for listening to today's episode. Ciao.